I think if you're watching this video, you can agree with me. There's something about Arcane that lingers long after the credits roll. From its storytelling to its visuals to its characters, they've all etched themselves into the cultural zeitgeist, but I think there's something much more than that. For me specifically, no character stands out more than Jinx. Especially in regards to a lot of controversy that sprung up about Season 2. Some viewers praise its ambition, while others critique its pacing and some of the unresolved themes from Season 1. Regardless of these mixed opinions, one thing I think that Season 2 absolutely nailed is Jinx's continued evolution. Season 1 really focused on the making of Jinx, the transformation of the character Powder, an innocent young girl filled with love and hope, into the chaotic force of destruction known as Jinx. I mean, who could forget that incredible rocket scene at the end of Season 1?
These pieces, I'll show them. We will show them all.
It was tragic, it was heartbreaking, and it was utterly unforgettable. But Season 2, this is where things change. It's no longer about creating Jinx. It's about redeeming her. It's about peeling back the layers of trauma, guilt, and exploring whether someone so broken can find healing, purpose, and a way forward. Today, I really want to deep dive into Jinx's journey in Season 2. Why it stands out as one of the series' greatest achievements. In this video, we'll focus on 3 pivotal elements of Jinx's arc in Season 2. Number 1, her relationship with Isha and how I think it mirrors her past and potential future. Number 2, her transformation into Zaun's hero and the duality of redemption and self-destruction. And last but not least, her poignant life-altering event with Ekko that I think really finishes off Jinx's character in a way that I felt was thematically appropriate and hit the hardest. Because Jinx's journey is not just about survival, it's about reclamation. The reclamation of identity, purpose, and hope in the face of overwhelming despair. Season 2 dares to ask, can someone who's defined themselves by chaos and destruction find a way to build something new? Well, let's find out together. Isha crashes into Jinx's world, literally and figuratively, bringing a shift Jinx doesn't quite expect. Initially, Jinx is prepared to treat Isha as an intruder, another threat in her chaotic existence. But there's something about Isha's vulnerability, her innocence, that stops Jinx right in her tracks. Isha reminds Jinx of someone she thought she lost forever. She reminds her of Powder. At its core, Isha's introduction isn't just about adding a new character. It's about giving Jinx a second chance. A chance to nurture and protect someone in a way she wished others had done for her. In Isha, Jinx finds a mirror reflecting the innocence she's lost, and she begins to grapple with what it could mean to take on a role of guidance and care. Jinx's parenting of Isha is a fascinating amalgamation of lessons she's internalized from the key figures in her life. From Vander, she really channels strength and compassion. From Vi, she carries a fierce, albeit imperfect love. And even with Silco and all his flaws, he shaped her understanding of loyalty and pain in ways no one else could. But Jinx isn't just repeating these patterns. She's learning from their failures and trying to create a different outcome for Isha. Even as Zaun's hero, Jinx rarely leaves her hideout unless it's to protect Isha. This fierce protective instinct showcases her internal struggle, the balance between her traumatic past and her desire to be better for someone. Isha isn't just a stand-in for Powder. She's a reflection of who Jinx could be if she chooses growth over destruction. However, this story isn't without stakes. Isha's presence in Jinx's life foreshadows not just healing, but also the potential for devastating loss. In trying to hold Isha too tight, Jinx risks reopening old wounds, forcing her to confront the parts of herself she's buried. Because Isha represents hope and conflict in equal measure. She acts as a force that drives Jinx towards redemption, but also exposes her deepest fears. What happens when Jinx's attempts to do better collides with the realities of the world she lives in? That's a question we really get to see the answer to. And I think it's why Jinx's growth and journey in this season is so impactful. Jinx's journey in Season 2 really takes her from the chaotic, volatile villain we saw in Season 1 and transforms her into something so much more significant. A symbol. No longer just the evolution of Powder into Jinx, she becomes an idealized freedom fighter, a figurehead for Zaun's struggle for independence. Then, later, when Isha gets kidnapped by Piltover, her actions of freeing those prisoners from Stillwater, albeit inherently selfish in nature, redefine her even more in the eyes of the people of Zaun. No longer is she just a figurehead, she's an actual hero. But most importantly, these actions begin to dim herself in her own eyes. This shift is encapsulated perfectly in her line to Vi.
Sis, I'm a hero. I busted half of Zaun out of Stillwater while you were passed out in the bottom of a mud.
This isn't just empty bravado, it's growth. For someone haunted by the idea of being a Jinx, believing she can be a hero is monumental. The external validation from the people of Zaun serves as a catalyst for an internal shift in her self-image. It's a rare moment of hope in an otherwise turbulent existence. But the show never lets you forget the fragility of Jinx's psyche. As Season 1 illustrated, the moment Jinx feels like a Jinx, her self-fulfilling prophecy kicks in. The voices in her head, her fractured sense of self, and her tendency to sabotage all her own progress resurfaces when her confidence falters. Becoming Zaun's hero is a double-edged sword for Jinx. On one hand, it redeems her, it gives her purpose, and serves as a sense of belonging she's longed for since childhood. On the other hand, it creates an immense pressure to live up to this new image. A pressure that threatens to unravel her when she falls short. Her transformation into a symbol isn't just about redemption in the eyes of Zaun or even in her own relationships. It's about Jinx finding redemption for herself. A way to prove that she's capable of being more than just destruction incarnate. But the duality of her identity, hero and destroyer, sets the stage for the inevitable conflict that will shape the rest of her story. Finally, we see Jinx's arc at its lowest. It takes one of the darkest turns after the battle at Victor's camp. Losing Isha, a figure who represented her second chance at nurturing and protection, devastates her. Grief pulls her into a spiral, driving her to retreat into despair and social destruction. Locked away in Stillwater, haunted by visions of Soko, Jinx's mental state fractures further. Finally, she decides to burn down the last drop. The place that once meant everything to her, as both Powder and Jinx. It marks a symbolic rejection of her identity. It's as though she's erasing her existence piece by piece. Culminating in the devastating moment where she prepares to end it all. But just as we see their grenade start to rip away at her flesh, Ekko arrives. In what may be one of the series' most emotional scenes, Ekko uses his time rewinding abilities to save Jinx. Over and over, he rewinds the moment, desperately trying to find the right words to reach her.
Always a dance with you.
The scene is gut-wrenching. Each rewind carries layers of fear, desperation, but most importantly, unwavering hope. Ekko refuses to give up on her, even as the weight of their shared past and her current state threatens to overwhelm them both. What makes this moment so powerful is I think what makes most of Arcane so powerful. It's raw humanity in its purest form. Even after everything Jinx has done, her mistakes, her destruction, her self-imposed isolation, Ekko still believes in her. That belief becomes the lifeline she needs, pulling her back from the edge. This moment of intervention doesn't just physically save Jinx's life. It reignites a spark of connection and healing. Ekko's determination to reach her reminds us of the power of second chances, even in the face of unimaginable pain. Though, we don't get to see this journey fully in the final cut, which I think ties back to what I said earlier with all the debates of pacing. We do get to see hints of their partnership resonate in later moments. Jinx's newfound resolve during the final battle, her willingness to stand with her sister and embrace the people around her, speaks to the impact of Ekko's intervention. It's a turning point for Jinx, showing that even in her darkest moments, she isn't alone. There's still hope, still a path forward, and people who refuse to give up on her, even when she's ready to give up on herself. Jinx's journey in Arcane Season 2, I think, is nothing short of remarkable. It's a story of loss and resilience, chaos and hope, destruction and redemption. Through her relationship with Isha, we see Jinx grapple with her past, using the lessons she learned from Vander, Vi, and Soko to become a protector and a guide, even as she fought the ghosts of her own trauma. As Zaun's hero, she finds a new purpose, one that redeemed her in the eyes of her people, and most importantly, in her own. Her line, "Wake up sis, I'm a hero," is more than just a declaration. It's a turning point for someone who spent so long believing she's nothing but a Jinx. And finally, in her moment with Ekko, we witness the raw vulnerability that defines Jinx as a character. His unwavering belief in her, his refusal to give up, reminded her and us that even in the darkest of times, connection can light the way. These three elements weave together to create a portrait of a character who isn't just surviving, but striving to redefine herself. Jinx's arc in Season 2 isn't about erasing the past. It's about embracing the pain, the mistakes, and the loss to forge a new one instead. If there's one thing Arcane has taught us, it's that growth is never linear, and healing is never easy. But for Jinx, Season 2 is a step, a messy, imperfect, but undeniably powerful step towards redemption. Jinx has always been a character defined by extremes: innocence and chaos, love and destruction. But in Season 2, we see her begin to reclaim the middle ground. I think she's no longer just powder, but she's also no longer just Jinx. I think maybe, finally, she's someone who can be both. Thank you all for coming on this journey with me. What are your thoughts on Jinx's arc in Season 2? Did it really resonate with you as it did for me? Or are there other parts you wish had been explored differently? Let me know down below. And goodbye.